Introducing your host, David Daniels II. If you made it to my channel, you are in the right place to be, so make yourself feel at home. And I want to say, welcome to Free Game. Here we discuss a lot of topics on self-growth, so you're going to leave out of here with some positive vibes, alright? I want to say, make sure you like and subscribe if you like what you see. Appreciate it.
All right, so welcome to Free Game. We'll be discussing music, poetry, um, basically things I've been working on recently. Um, First things first. So why did I get back in? Or why did I start music in the first place? I used to do a lot of writing when I was younger, inspired by my brother, people who was around me, friends. We used to have what's called stack music. And this is before 2012. So like they would perform, go downtown, people rap at different clubs and, just basically trying to find yourself doing music at a young age. Um, but like I basically used to try to um, do music before I got into my field, which is respiratory therapy. And that's just one thing that I had to kind of do was I had to sacrifice, pick and choose like which one am I going to focus on. And before 2012, I was kind of like one foot in the door on both sides. So I kind of had to take a break from music because I wanted to focus on my career, which was respiratory. And I'm actually proud that I did that because to be honest, I feel like I had a lot of growing to do anyways when I was writing music. Um, but also I enjoy my career as a respiratory therapist. It's a like it's a lot of things that come with being a respiratory therapist, helping other individuals breathe. Um, but sometimes that's just life. You gotta buckle down and you gotta figure out which things is more important, and that's creating stability for yourself. You can't be trying to entertain the lifestyle of um like um something that's not guaranteed. So my recommendations for anybody is not to say don't chase your dreams, don't go after them, but just to create a form of stability so you don't have to be so dependent on others. Once you create your stability, then you can exercise most of or all the dreams that you've been trying to work on in the first place. So, like I said, I had a passion for rapping. I used to ask for topics to write about all the time. Um, and used to find myself trying to reflect what I seen as far as my environment and things that I came across when I was younger. Like I said, we would go out, perform at different clubs, um, all through downtown. Um, but when I got older, like I said, I took a break from writing about what 12 years. Yeah, I haven't started writing. I started back writing in 2024. So from 2012 to 2024, I kind of got back into writing and figuring out like what topics you truly want to focus on. Um, and more so, it was like when you live a little bit, I focus more so on the what's needed and not what's like wanted, pretty much, which is cool because again, the goal was to create stability in the form of a career, and this is all elective. So if you like it, you like it. If you don't, I'm not tripping at all. Um, but a little bit of background of the direction that I've went to when it comes down to writing was mainly to focus more so on, you know, the good, the bad, things that I see on the internet. And a lot of times I'm not one of those individuals that will focus and reflect so much on the internet because it's not a real space until you start to realize that people you come in contact with is affected by things that's on the internet. So it don't matter whatever it is. But you have so many influencers on the internet sometimes. And you have people who have to deal with real life consequences because they have been misled or been influenced by somebody who painted an idea of what something should be, what something is, and realizing that it's just, you know, creating havoc for somebody else. Um, so I started back writing in 2024. The first thing I started going back into, obviously, poetry was a book of poems was called Deception. And it basically talks about how many different things in this world that can cause deception. Basically, uh, it don't matter if it's friendships, relationships. It don't matter if it's you know what you see on the internet, entertainment, um, leaders, so-called leaders, influencers, uh, just bad decisions. People become prisoners of the moment. And it's a journey of realizing, you know, what deception is in this world. People fall victim to it all the time. We are um, flawed individuals, and you got to realize that we can become victim of deception very easily. So I got a lot of different. It's 20 poems in there. I think the first one is "Misled" by Mortal Man. Um, And I haven't converted any of those into like a song or anything. But I'm just telling you, when I started back writing, that was the first one I wrote about was deception. And like I said, I'm glad that I had to experience patience because I feel like I have more of a purpose to write when I do write instead of when I was younger and I was seeking and I was asking people like, hey, give me some topics to write about. It's easier. I feel like it's easier. Um, So the next one I wrote about was called transformation. And it's basically to realize, like, you know, try to uh, better yourself when you have a relationship and understanding uh, of God and who God is and what God wants for you. So, most of my writing is reflections of when you go through, when you start to read the Bible and you start to get that perspective and you get that perspective for yourself. It's not just what somebody else is telling you. Like I always tell people, you can't just let your salvation be guaranteed by one individual that's preaching to you. Sometimes you got to do the work yourself and you need to go and do your own history and do your own reading and find your own discernment. Like everybody got a path that they go on. A lot of times you got people who was born in the church, stayed in the church, and that's just the life they live. Then you got some other individuals that lived life and entertained the world a little bit. And then through discernment, they realized they was being deceived. Some people will wake up at different time periods. So transformation is that one where it's more so about the how you can better yourself, find your purpose for yourself, and be a better individual, not just for yourself, but for others. Deception is just basically how the world try to deceive you in so many different things, so many different ways. It's crazy. But anyways, those were the few that I started off with. I think with transformation, I only got like 16 poems. Deception is 20. Um, and then I got into writing to instrumentals. Free game is just a way for me to be getting off my perspective. Now, I did get off my perspective a little bit on deception, and transformation. The free game is like an expansion on that. I wrote to instrumentals. I kind of challenged myself, which I gave myself 24 hours to say, okay, write me something based on whatever the world gives you at that moment. Plain and simple. Keep it simple. Instead of seeking and asking people for topics to write about, I say, whatever the world gives you at this moment, write about it. And a lot of times that's detoxing away from social media, detoxing away from the internet, YouTube. Um, so a lot of times what I would do, like I would say what I would do in the morning is, a lot of times you wake up, you pray, uh, you might go through a chapter, get into the Bible. If it's New Testament, John, I used to when I first was getting back into the Bible. Like I said, 2024, I really was getting back into the Bible. I was trying to read the book like it's a novel. So what that means is I was trying to understand the character development. So I understood characteristics of these individuals because it paints a better picture of who these people were. So you can realize you can't be deceived if you know their characteristics. Some things cannot change. Realize through the Old Testament, New Testament, no matter if it was John, Peter, Jesus is very important. Just know his character. So you can understand and you won't be deceived when that day comes. So like um I think it was very important to read that like a novel. And then also go into it where you're not looking for miracles. You're looking for why did things happen in the first place? So sometimes it's those little stories that come in between where you say, okay, these things took place for this to take place. And I think that's important, especially when you just going through. So, like I said, read a chapter early in the morning. Um, try to detox from social media. Give yourself some time. I mean, like you gonna have to be off because, like I said, nobody perfect. If you can detox for a day, good for you. But the first thing you go to should not be an Instagram post or a Facebook. Um, after you get your daily bread, go through the Word. Um, sit in silence. Sit in silence. Um, like I said, 30 minutes to an hour won't hurt nobody. Get your thoughts together, map out how your 24 hours about to go. It's things that people don't do, but they should do. I feel like every single day you should map out what you plan on doing. So you can't do that in chaos. You got to sit in silence and say, okay, I'm about to take care of this, take care of this, take care of this, map every single thing out, be organized. And then um, also, you know, you got the time, work out. 30 minutes to an hour. Try to work out. A lot of times I put on the app, Bible app, work out, listen to the word, or I might work out, listen to advice on finances, which in these day and age, everything is down. So, but that's for another conversation. Um, so after doing that, like I said, you got the rest of the day to figure out what you want to write about. And that's what I did for a free game. I pretty much was trying to challenge myself and others. I tell people like, hey man, I know for sure that like my bro, he like to rap. I'm like, yo, challenge yourself. Figure out what you want to write about. Write about something that's real to you that you going through. And just get it off. So I got like about so I started doing free game after I did transformation. And I got like over 100 plus different I guess days worth of poetry, right? Because every day was like um, a different poem, and you know, so what I did was I started trying to didn't have no intention of creating music out of all this. I basically was just like, all right, I want to write, because it's therapy. It's therapeutic for myself. And then I came across a couple of different apps. Um, One app you can convert your poetry into a song, and not just that, but like if you are a musician, so if you play live instruments, you can add and edit, and you pretty much are the engineer using like AI to engineer your sound. And I'm not somebody who is gonna go towards AI first thing first. I'm very skeptical. I'm a very defensive person, I would say. Meaning like I'm not about to be first. I ain't gotta be last, but I ain't gotta be first. Plain and simple. Um and the thing is you gotta have a goal too of saying like what part of this you want to be on the creative side and what part that you want to be, you know, um you allow it to do. So, me as a writer, I got a chance to say, okay, let me see how this sounds. I know the sound I'm going for because I know how I was feeling when I wrote it. So, most of the songs that I create is um it's also inspired by the fact that I do like R&B, I like blues, I like hip hop. Um, Grew up off of blues. Actually, am more of a fan of the new R&B. Like if you, I'll listen to like a Sir, a Black, um, Anderson Paak, um, Ro James, a couple people that got like '90s type of vibe, but they got lyrics with it. They got melody and lyrics with it. So I'm actually a fan of the new R&B, but I am a fan of the old R&B. But what these dudes are doing is, I'm a fan of it. So and then hip hop is kind of, like I said, it's a hit or miss. Uh, It's no shade to whoever is doing what they're doing, but I'm a lyricist. I'm more so inspired for those who are, um, dropping some knowledge. Like when I first started writing music, back, like I said, a long time ago, it was about metaphors. It was about how many punchlines I can get in. And nowadays, it's about how much substance can I get out. I want to make sure I put out enough substance. It's kind of the same reason, like when I go to church, I'm going for substance, going to, um, you know, be taught, you know, worship, praise is absolutely important. But for me personally, I gravitate towards a humbled building and somebody who can deliver a sermon, deliver a word, plain and simple. So when it comes down to the music, I use this app. Um, they would put my lyrics in. One thing I like about it is you own all the rights to your music that you create as a writer, an artist. If you play the guitar, piano, whatever it is. But I like the freedom of you can be the engineer and create the sound that you're looking for. You literally can just create your persona, and a persona is basically a sound. So it'll use factors from your voice, and based off of your voice, you can tweak things and you make certain things sound the way you want it to sound, um, which I think is dope. Now, like I said, some songs when I was writing, I was like, "Yo, it gets some pain out here," so I wanted to make it sound like it's some pain. I wanted to have a blues feel, so I could make it sound like it's a blues type of feel. If it's more hip hop, it's more hip hop. The struggles that I had before was I used to write when I used to try to record was, um, for one, it's hard to get stuff mastered. You know, make sure if you had an engineer. For two, um, to get the instrumental that you really want because you wrote to a free instrumental online. I mean, it's free that you can use, and it was probably a certain kind of vibe that you was writing to when you got that instrumental. You can't just put lyrics on anything and then expect the same outcome. Like I don't want to be writing about something that's deep, but then you got an upbeat type of song or an upbeat type of instrumental. So it's a couple of reasons why I just gave up uh, doing music in the first place. But with this app, like I said, my personal opinion with AI is like either it can be a tool or it can be used to replace those individuals. But the problem is you need regulations. You do need structure. You need some type of guidance. You need some type of what you can and what you can't do. Um, Plain and simple. There's too much uncertainty when it comes down to what's on the internet, and it's like a sea of catfish. And I'm here to be straightforward to tell people like, look, you know, the lyrics, absolutely me. The sound is engineered from me. The vocalist is something that is coming from AI, but it's a reference of myself, pretty much. No problem with saying that. It's too much deception in this world, I feel like, to add on to that. But, for another conversation, we can talk about videos and how things is just so distorted at times, man, which is crazy because, like, I mean, it can affect anybody. To like, it's no regulations on somebody taking an image and just trying to create um something out of thin air in a narrative, and people will push that narrative. And where does defamation come from? Can you sue for defamation? Because most people can take somebody's likeness and then put them in a situation that is completely far away from their character as possible. So, like I said, this is personally, I mean, I don't know. Uh, they need to definitely put some regulations on board, make it more structure. We can't be moving off of what another country plans on doing with their form of AI. We need to have tunnel vision, in my personal opinion. But like I said, that's for another conversation. Back to the music. So, um, use this app. It's dope. Like, I was a skeptic, seeing it pop up multiple times on my social media page, and I was like, all right, well, let me see what my lyrics sound like. I want it to sound like this, or what if it sound like this? So, I got a lot of songs already pretty much recorded. I did drop an album. Um, I plan on probably dropping some singles. I got enough for 2 more albums, to be honest, but I'm not in a rush to put it out. I'm gonna let this kinda breathe a little bit. And like I said, more so because I am like I said, a poet at heart. And when you a poet at heart, you don't really care about, if you get a record sale. I personally don't care. Sometimes I just wanna get the message, the word out, plain and simple. If people mess with it, people don't, I'm not gonna lose no sleep. Um, but Um, like I said, I got a few things recorded. It's a couple of things I still it's crazy because some songs it makes me want to go back and write more. This is something that I feel like, man, after listening to certain things, I'm inspired to do a little bit more writing or to add a little bit more to it. Um, so you know, we'll see. I'm gonna plan on dropping a couple of singles after this, see what this album is looking like. And then I don't want to put myself in a box either. So like I said, I got some songs that's, you know, basically was a challenge for myself to say, okay, let me see what if I can do character development. I want to see what a 3-part or 4-part series with the character development looks like. Challenge yourself. I recommend anybody who is a writer to challenge themselves. See what they can do. See what they can come up with. You don't get the people who write movie scripts and TV shows and the best writers out there, they get stagnation because they don't challenge themselves. Now you got to challenge yourself to see what you can come up with. and then stand behind it. If it's something things you can work on, you can tweak, cool. Work on it and tweak it. But don't get discouraged by an opinion from one person or two people or the world, pretty much. Plain and simple. Plain and simple. So, um, with that being said, I'm about to try to see if I can play. I'm actually gonna run through all the songs. Um, the crazy part is it's an hour's worth of work. Then the plan on it, I didn't think it was gonna be an hour, but it's about an hour on the money. So we're gonna see if I think everything should be playing pretty smooth. So let's see here. This is called Young Prophet and Dollar Sign.
Young prophet, choose wisely as you pick your topic. Just because you are in the cockpit, doesn't mean you are the pilot to land us gracefully on something solid. Just know the youth is watching. You can't learn from a wrong turn if it takes 10 years to recognize it. I realize it's more than dollar signs to see a direct deposit. Oh, you are kicking knowledge. It doesn't matter if those seeds are rotten, misleading, just to see an increase in green. But daylight won't never reach the inside of your pocket. Everything doesn't have to be overanalyzed. I got it, but don't leave your listener desensitized. My haters realize when anything promoting the destruction of my people doesn't get demonetized. How much is that dollar sign when staring in the eyes of a family left traumatized after their loved one died? What does it take to escape the feeling of being paralyzed? Young prophet, the one who sees dollar signs, took a break for a minute. Now back to prophesying, predicting futures more than rap songs, creating shooters, bad environments pushed on us from environmentalists, stretching truths on us like bad rulers. Test your bloodline. What's your relation to Judas, the betrayal of your people? Ask yourself, how can you do this using money, power, and emotion to only influence? Chasing respect is how they move us. But listen, I know I sound like a politician when I said you can spark change. Don't let your purpose surface if you were influenced by Cain. Peace brings blessings, no stress in this world. Be feeding all pain to be remembered. Associate yourself with his name. The one who walks on water hydroplanes. Before I slide, I want to contribute to how far we came. Young prophet, kicking free game. Young prophet, kicking free game.
All right, so that was Young Prophet and Dollar Signs. Inspired by, like I said, most of it was inspired by seeing young folks having an opportunity to inspire other young people. And it's a big responsibility. I think people take things for granted. I think everybody wants to be an influencer. Everybody wants the what comes with being an influencer, but don't realize the responsibility that it comes with. So it's the perspective of so many individuals, I would say, that will profit off of you know, things that might tear up their communities. And people got to realize, like, you have a responsibility when it comes down to what you put out there. People don't realize that we are reflections of what you see. You know, if you see a toxic behavior, you're gonna be a toxic individual. And that saying hurt people is a real saying. That's not just made up just to make it up. Like a lot of times people don't realize that. So it's about what you kind of pour into, plain and simple. The next one that I got is called Superhero, Supervillain. Um, so
Da, da, da. Uh-huh. Da, 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 da. Ooh, ooh, ooh. Superhero, supervillain. Share perspective in the eyes of your children. If they only knew what you had to do to have a pot to piss in, to raise you to be incredible was the only mission. Only corruption brings division, even when the world envisions you as the villain. All I need is you to listen. Try not to be a heathen. The fire breathing destruction from what you touching is what you leaving. No convincing of being a hero is out of season. Turn your back on me without a reason. We call it treason. My moral compass lost something, and now I'm grieving. I broke down deception and gave you transformation, something to believe in. The plan is a mind fertile land to plant a seed, and straight from the mental. A pencil is my best utensil when I'm eating. An internal beat in my head keeps me feasting. If I'm your brother's keeper, then there's nothing leaking. I desire to inspire with every word that I'm speaking. Who knew words can defeat it? A demon. A simple prayer can turn an atheist into a deacon. A light in the sky, it must be a beacon. Symbolizing hope, it must be freedom. Superhero or supervillain, it depends on how you see him. Through peace and equality, how can we reach them? But it's powerful people who want to defeat him. The fear of losing power is the reason they bleed him. Why wait for after he's gone to recognize that you need him? If you ever feel alone, put on this song and you'll see him.
So that's called superheroes or supervillains. Um, Inspired by the fact that you know which is crazy for me is like there's other TV shows and movies, and you always got this perception of what a superhero is. And recently, they have had a couple of shows that just show you that um, some of these heroes ain't might not be heroes in the eyes of everybody. And what I'm saying is, like, somebody might demonize an individual, and the other person, somebody else might look up to that individual, which is it's crazy, but that's just how it is. So, for example, if you look at The Boys, clear example, um, The Boys on Amazon. Uh, I think Invincible was one. Is that the name of it? It's also on Amazon, where basically um, perspective is about perspective of how you view that individual. Like on The Boys, like yeah, he might save uh, you know 20 people at the risk of costing 10 lives. I'm just getting there. Perspective. So, like I said, and then also not just from the TV show perspective. I think superheroes, supervillains are just saying that depending as a child looking up to their parents, a child is always gonna look at their parents as a superhero. The world might look at your parents as somebody who is they look down upon your parent because their circumstance. The parent might go to work every single day, might do sanitation, whatever it is. And you have other individuals who will um, look down or hate on that individual for no given reason. Whereas your loved ones, your child is going to look up to you as a superhero. And that's just the reality of um, the world that we live in. And I think everybody experienced that. It's not a, at first I was thinking like, is this a certain demographic of people? But no, I feel like every single person has an adversary where somebody might look at them a certain kind of way for no reason. And it's just like it's the 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 struggle of prejudging somebody. That's the problem where we always have. We prejudge somebody. So that's called superheroes, supervillains. Man, it's a lot of songs. I don't know if I'm gonna get to all of them, to be honest. I'll probably play like 4 or 5 more, but it's 24 songs. Like I don't think I'm gonna be playing all of them. So let's do Lost in Virginia.
Spare me the time that I lend you reverse favors. Indian givers every day on repeat. How did we meet? That's what I remember. The coldest days couldn't reach the peak of December somehow. We equated each other and met in the center. Life is created where most is lost. In Virginia around me, you can be yourself, no room for pretenders. Don't have your time locked away from misdemeanors. From a mister who pillow talks you since the day that he meets you. Divide your time up like pizza. Funny how he thinks because he featured at the next trip is to Virginia. When you need help, ask God for a feature. What do you see when you look in the mirror? No judgment from judges. Who's rocking mascara? Love yourself, don't let insecurities flare up. I feel your pain, you hear my struggle. Shared emotions, we leaned on each other. This is my birthplace, word to mother, I'm your keeper, word to brother. Never believed in distant lovers, you seek some heat. My rap sheet will keep you covered. I have a plan if you let me land in a place undiscovered. But we ain't going nowhere without your permission to touch it. Most of these Sims are sons of pimps who retired or bust. The father wasn't around, his wife Sim can sympathize or hustle. You don't realize your eyes keep me charged like a Tesla. So much game in your name, you can't even measure. Your mind is a forbidden treasure. Your body curving like kind of letters, trying to wind down, but over time it gets better. Try not to get shipwrecked because of this weather. Lost in Virginia, how did we get here? Game being sold, one of us buying. Usually identified as the one doing the shopping. It's the person that hit it as you locked in, falling like quicksand. You gotta be a hitman, the way you make a killing. You can't escape from the feeling. If your body is eating, what a beautiful prison. I'm here to listen. If your door's open, there's nothing hidden. I make do with the time that's given, no comparison. It's a big difference. The plan when I touch down is that we both winning. To ease any hard living in Virginia, it could make you start transcending. From boys to men, accomplishing new beginnings. Power of a real woman. Ooh. Ooh. A humble.
All right, so that's called Lost in Virginia. Basically, it's about a woman. A couple people thought it was about actual like Virginia, but no, it's about a woman and how much the right woman in your life can make a big difference. And also, it's about for women to realize don't fall victim to the pillow talks of the world or the false promises of the world of you know how game is game pretty much. You gotta have women do game as well, but Lost in Virginia is realizing that right one can make a big difference. So Lost in Virginia is about that. Next one is called Final Form. Let's go.
So, a relationship is worth more than gold. To live inside of your creation, the Garden of Eden, where nothing gets old. For those who choose to live outside your scope, I see changes in that story being told. Too fast to take, don't get lost on that road. Confidence can blind you when feeling bold. Idealizing ideas from imposters, profiting off souls. Being so glorifying the promises of coexistence with ancestors can feel magnifying. But the world is cold and too many teaching to be defiant. The one and only that can give us hope for a future that's promising. One thing that I'm learning as the world keeps turning, the sun will rise and fill the skies with the signs of our Savior returning. The first time I felt home, I rocked with a sermon that paralyzed my viewpoints on the money I'm earning. Stuck in place, what do you place? All the wasted time that's burning life too short. So try to live proper instead of chasing Gucci, LV, Prada. See more scars, the C-section appointments met with a doctor who covered up scars. That are just friendly reminders you could have saved someone, but it's met with a kind, met with a sort of, met with a later. I see people be lying eyes the whole time would tear you down if your name was Mufasa. Look at how these imposters did to the Messiah. All others can get to stepping like they are too many fathers. Ducking intersections where fake can be fatal. Chasing a dollar, fear of a loss. The best else is life lesson learned from a poor man. You can't get from a scholar. Humble yourself yourself by helping others. The payout could be massive. Don't let a moment hold you captive. Retract what you thought was attractive. It was just a distraction. Clear your mind like skincare to be proactive. When the creator is your day one, you gotta stay active. You've done so much for me that I can't stay passive. Who only knew Nip was an Ethiopian Jew that taught through music the things he mastered. Know yourself and you can't move backwards. Trying to prove a point, but it ain't no factor. Factories, 12-hour shifts, our dreams get captured when life gets sad. Losing people to laughter is a peace of mind. That is the only thing that we can revise ourselves. There's so many things that break you down that you condone. Can't find God through a phone. Tell your loved ones you love them before they are gone. It was common practice that your son's name kept so many strong. Their names changed when those dropped the atomic bomb. Went from demons to aliens, but fear of your son's name made them run along. God brings calm to bad weather when you're cold to keep you warm. His opposition is synonymous with a storm. No need to be alarmed. If you've been warned, the creator of creation is nothing greater than your final form.
So that was called Final Form. Kind of goes into talking about a little bit with what I talk about in deception and transformation, which is having a relationship with God is important. Makes a big difference. Um, Not realizing that He's been with you for a long time. Even people don't appreciate the fact that they came out of so many different struggles and they got so many testimonies. But Final Form is basically um, just realizing what God can do and what He's been doing. It's not what He can do, but it's what He's been doing. So the next one is called The Collective.
This is dedicated to the collective who share the same perspective. I detect Christ consciousness, that's something for the detectives. The same ones who neglect us, see movement in our unit, and found ways to separate us, segregate us with new ways to hate us. Just a 21-year-old out of Illinois with plans for opposition to respect us. Dreams of unification through action and demonstrate. Was Fred Hampton, the birthplace of the Panthers, died before ideas got realized. Just 21 years before he vanished. When the youth meet their roots before bearing fruit, is not sustainable for the planet. It's a better way to try to imitate what God have done single-handedly. Now, don't judge. Crucify me with fake love. The creator of the simulator. We are fractions of what you're made of. Is that why in my mind I find divine energy? So I know the stories aren't made up. The entitled give titles like saying where we're made of stardust. Translation made from God because God resides in us. Translation, we are made from love. Faith is trust, correlation, God is love. From an atom to the stars above, His presence is apparent, watching over us. The first concept of a parent. Now that you woke, Jesus Christ conscience got you coherent. The bond of soul ties, being in lock with the Holy Spirit. We all know the assignment. Locked in exercising, free will for the wheel alignment. Full circle from fighting to climb the highest peak to finding peace when trying to change the climate. We the collective make change. Not a billionaire who flies private with a fear of speaking on human rights is why they remain silent. From corporations who choose violence by dividing the nation. There's power in unification. It's no longer hidden in conversation. The transfer of energy. If you're seeking confirmation, lose petals for most who sit on a pedestal, thirsting for condensation, a beautification of we the rose. Now one soul can create a duplication. Pick up brothers and sisters like loose petals so they know their placement. Don't get lost with the imitation. Chasing someone else's dreams will only leave you with your imagination. Stargazing like you studied the constellations. The battle within, just know you're not alone. So no need for ducking the confrontation. The collective. Listen. This is dedicated to the collective.
So that's called the collective. Basically, it's just saying like you got two different ways to get to a destination, and the main thing is if you focus more on unification and not trying to segregate and separate people and put people against each other. Um, so it's just it's about you can do more good together than trying different opportunities to put people against each other. So, and it's important because it's, um, the collective is mainly talking about the goals, especially when you go and you start reading the Bible and understanding what meekness means and brotherly love and starting to reflect those things. It's like, you know, you know, your peace comes from helping others. And it don't matter your background, but that's that's the point that I'm making with the collective. Um, which I got another song that's gonna be kind of similar to the collective. I haven't released it yet. Um, it's called Shades of Wheat, but some it's that's I think it's a very important song. Um, let me see here. Next one I'm gonna try. I'm gonna do this is my wife's favorite song, so I'm gonna do this one. It's called Grudges Against Me.
I promise I won't change for nothing. Why every time I'm around I get blamed for something? Why is the police gonna judge me like a porn star and get the busing? Holding grudges against me. Why is that the topic of discussion if someone else done you wrong? Why do I feel the weight of your judgment? Life is a competition. Opinions come from one and judges see themselves as tens. Claiming it's genetic like they never did no crunches. Like you never had anxiety. Speaking to your crushes to raise your self-esteem. So you lean on smoking con artists like some Dutch. And these rap artists remind me of two lovers who not too distant cousins. Whenever they create something, it just looks disgusting. Protect your hive when I arrive. Baby might get stepped on if they get to buzzing like doorbells at a stranger's crib. Think twice. Before pushing buttons, I will sack your quarterback if these lines start to rushing. What's going on in your cranium? I can tell by the way you're dressing. What you feel on the inside is what you're reflecting. Hurt people, is that why your grudge against me sent in my direction? I've had family forgive me, I guess we lost connection. You cut ties with no explanation. It's what you're neglecting. I find it hard to trust when someone starts to begin this world. Don't owe you nothing, so I don't trust what they're selling. Like animals who won't eat if there's no seed in that melon. Watch a woman who wants it all. Don't matter who falls, reminds me of Helen. A man who imprisons their listeners by the words they tell him. Manipulation to keep you locked in is what everybody is yelling. Free yourself. Free your mind, jail. Breaking without a felon. You got the key to escape all that aggression. It starts with forgiveness for those who hold grudges. They deal with mental illness. Leave it to a doctor to build this. Give you something to deal with your feelings. It's funny how when you peel back the truth on the one who village to try to sell things in your village. This is food for thought straight from the skillet. Even if your name was Letterkenny, I know that you feel it.
So that's called Grudges Against Me. Um, Basically, just how you can feel like sometimes you can feel like the world just be against you. You know what I'm saying? Back against the wall type of thing. Like you can't do no right. Um, it don't matter what you do in your life. It's just like you can't do no right. So sometimes I think a lot of people feel like this. Um, it don't matter if it's in what scenario, but No, it's I think that just comes from like a place of like it don't matter if it's work, relationships, whatever you see, man. Because I see it all the time, especially online. It's like people just they go after each other, and for the littlest pettiest things, it's crazy. Um, Next one I'm about to get into. Uh, I want to talk about this one. It's called "No More Wait." Um,
Nowadays, people like, what's the way? Patience or procrastination? Which one is it when you sit on something great? You never see it now if you entertain late. Catfish yourself like you're trying to duck a date at 7-Eleven. 24 hours, you see the final form when you meditate. Superheroes or supervillains, I'll let you pick a fate. Soul of a fisherman, so listen, man, I'm straight up with you. You'll never see the bait, you don't know yourself. I see an identity crisis painted on your face. Young prophet and dollar signs, who knew that he knew to find? Poetic justice is a certain path you have to take. Don't get lost in Virginia when they try to sell you the water warm, but many drown in that lake to be free. Something is missing when you don't put value behind free game. That's your first mistake. My first directive is to give the collective piece of me and peace of mind. To feed your base a fresh start, like so fresh, like Colgate, no waste, like toothpaste. I need all that, like a game of space. Learn from your losses. It doesn't matter if you're throwing a catching phase or win, only depends on how the cards lay. Or what the rules into the games that we all play. Detox for a decade, anything that can cause brain decay.
so that's called "No More Wait." I like that song just because it's a play on multiple songs. Like when I got to that one, already wrote 7-Eleven, Free, Fate. Wrote Free Game, Identity Crisis, The Collective, Drunk Off of Poetic Justice, Final Form, Lost in Virginia, Superhero, Supervillains, Young Prophet. So like I just like how, like I said, when I write, the whole goal is to challenge yourself, but also to not just um put some perspective, some substance out there. Um, yeah, could I do everything is just nothing but metaphors? Yeah, but you gotta have some substance behind the lyrics that you putting out. So it's like, especially for me, like right, um, and most Christians already know this. People who go through and they read the Bible, you realize you have to find discernment when Jesus speaks in parables. When he goes and he's trying to talk to his disciples, he's speaking in parables. It's the same thing as metaphors. A lot of times you have to read between the lines of what he's saying, because even if you don't understand it now, you will understand it later on in life. And that's with most writing that is timeless, because I've seen multiple people do this. Some people got that fast food, some people got that stuff that sticks to the ribs. And most of the writing I'm trying to do and trying to do, I'm not a person that will put myself on a pedestal and say that what I am doing is just to create something that will hit home long term. And it's not just a, I'm going to put it on and it's good for the moment. Um, I don't believe in trying to be a prisoner of the moment, because people can mess their whole life up being prisoners of the moment. You know, that's a topic for another conversation. But um, I want to create like timeless uh, pieces. And, you know, for me, it's the best way to do it. So that was No More Wait. Uh, let me see. I guess I can go into, let me see. I'm gonna do Paradise.
I realize I prophesied that I'm that ocean, deep enough when the current changes. That's two bodies in motion. Touch your skin like sand. You can say I'm just coasting. You are now living in a third dimension of a real poet. Please don't lose me, life is beauty if you ain't know it. Oh, water sign is why my mind moves like fluids. She takes a look through her brown eyes to realize I'm a cool guy. Like blue skies, I could write your name in the stars at nighttime. Let your head down and unwind. A waterfall is just the ocean that sees mountains they wanna climb. I am here to teach you out when you're in the bind. That's Ray Charles for confirmation if he looks blind. Words can grip if sorry if you thought I wasted lines. There's a difference when roaming and assuming until you cross the lines. My savior saved me to save you, so your name in the book of life is not hard to find. I pray for humanity, so they don't be shackled to vanity. I show appreciation. My presence is a blessing. How many could have been conceived in the back of a Camry? I thank God I wasn't sacrificed to a plan B. Your organic flow, I can never morph into a high C. I want the juice, but don't never try to normalize me. Yeah. I told you my mind could be that deep. Try not to get lost to sea. Paradise is yours if you know the definition of safety. Expect the master lock to the box, but what's that to a safety? Paradise, palm trees, sand under feet. You know we're eating a cool breeze. Me, the true state of peace is not out of reach. The feeling of back rubs if you say please. Don't hurt me, have mercy. You gave me something to squeeze. I bless you like someone just needs. Respect for yourself is why I drop to my knees. Started in paradise, became too real. I love the face you make when you face your kid. I know how to make you smile when I say it's always the little things. I put it down, you pick it up, you what I mean. Go ahead and catch a vibe if you wanna sing.
So that's Paradise. Uh, Pretty much saying when you have a relationship, when you have a covenant, when you have a bond, a soul mate, not a soul tie. Um, I feel like paradise. And basically that's the premise of writing that is to say it's a distinction between a soul tie, soulmate. It's a difference between um, good old fun time and a long time. So um, that's Paradise. The next song I'm gonna start to tap in on is called um, Identity Crisis.
Identity crisis to walk in blind faith when you don't know who Christ is. A fish out of water who identifies with Pisces. The dreams that come to me when I close my eyes to move mountains, just me build pyramids. Life lessons are just confessions on how to live, tithes and offerings. What you seek when blessing others will one day bless your kids. Give them protection and guidance. Mental tools to use when they deal with the crisis. When they lose trust, they don't open up and seem tight-lipped. Gotta put the work in if it involves working night shifts, so they don't jump ship. Understanding your purpose is God's gift. Find it before reaching the bottom of that cliff. I'm here to heal, don't lose me like the foodies do Wycliffe. Be your own competition, then there are no contests. Don't let a bald head reflect that, your stress. Don't let the world determine that you're nothing more than makeup in a tight dress. Shadow thoughts with a Loch Ness. Get exposed in life a hot mess. A bunch of bad boys dealing with choppers until they leave the nest. Let me guess, it's better options to protect your chest. Your life is next. You can't fix problems with shopping and satisfy your flesh. Ask yourself, what's the shelf life of being trapped in the shell of being selfish? Well, eternity will certainly if you don't repent. You can't run from the sins on your skin. They will tell on you before judgment. How to save others if you need a hint. Find God to find yourself through discipline. Staying humble to fix a problem when it meets trouble. Who knows the ones who say it's all good until it ain't? That's a fixed bubble, no value to how they live on social. It's just a facade, like archangels who imitate God. I park my thoughts under the brightest light, like I don't know the garage. I find comfort in knowing myself. My life is not a mirage. Go through pain and feel good. Life is like a massage.
So that's called identity crisis. Basically, for those individuals who um, they want to um, portray, um, like I said, like Christian, but you don't know who Christ is. I think it's important for people to have like that personal journey. Like you can't let your salvation be guaranteed by an individual behind the pulpit. You have to go and seek him for yourself. And you got to be disciplined when you do it. Um, I think it's so much stuff out here nowadays where I feel like it's easy to do because you can, if you don't have understanding, you can put the time in to get that understanding yourself. So um, I think it's one of those where it might hit home for a lot of people that try to find a gray area. And the more I read into it is I realize that that gray area is far in between. But like I said, we all fall short. So it's not one of those things where you look down on somebody else, but you do recognize that for those who do fall short, um, through Jesus Christ and your faith, is how you reach that salvation. So that's called identity crisis. Let me see here. My last one. I think I might I can do the agenda, Divided States of America. You know what? I'm gonna just do. I'm gonna do missing. I feel like missing was important. Yeah. So my next song is gonna be called "Missing," and I think it was important for me to write this one.
Yeah. I feel like Pac back in 93. When your time measured, you felt the pressure when it falls all on me. My parents were up stressing, you can't fall asleep. Because the babies are missing, so they pray that they find some peace. You can miss me with the life of a celebrity. When my community is out, you catching casualties. The news reaction is just a fraction of my reality. I mean, how many homes lost their own get spoken on? The ones with resources can't imagine their loved ones gone. Just another spiritual song that can lead these babies back home. I saw 9 missing when I opened my phone. A sermon service from 9 years ago that spoke on something we should not condone. Pray for God's protection. This message is through the mind, so protect your dome. For the ones who are missing now, listen. Don't be the cause of your end. Don't be a victim out here chasing some trends. Don't whip a child for imitating things that you did. Don't give them a phone at 10. Phone at 10. Because mama is just trying to live. Don't give them fast food and question why they got big when they bake. Give them something that's gon' stick to their ribs. Pray for protection for them children who around your kids. It's too easy for your adult to get misled. Too many chasing a false perception of social media and facing reality instead. The ones who loved you is the ones who tucked you in bed. Don't think you got better options from what you've seen on television. Grown folks online pretending to have your best interest. It's okay to keep your distance when things don't feel like home, and someone says it's okay to be different. Respect got lost when children didn't ask parents permission, when giving others attention for reasons at home. It was missing. I hope these kids practice some patience, placed on punishment for bad decisions. They want to run away because of judgment. They think no one will listen. I'm telling you, forget what the outside world is telling you.
So that was called Missing. Basically was talking about kids that was missing. Mainly from inner city communities. Don't get spoken on as much, don't get highlighted. Basically when I was writing that one, it was like I said, a lot of times you sit in silence and God will give you things to write about. And a lot of times he will send you things 3 times to tell you, like, hey, I need you to focus on this. And basically, this one morning, like I said, um, got up, even on social media, never ever really get anything talking about an Amber Alerts or missing or somebody's missing. But you know how the algorithm goes, right? Click on one, you start to see a lot more. So seeing a few, then I start realizing that it was some people I went to school with, high school, that their kids was missing, and or they had a friend of a family that was missing, young adult. And then I remembered it was a sermon that I listened to. Um, I don't think it was a Miles Monroe or a Stephen Darby. I can't think which one it was, but it talked about um, missing kids. Um, and so I was just like, man, I'm seeing all these people online. I'm seeing this sermon that pops up. And then I had a family member that was telling me that they were looking for um, their child. They ended up finding their child that day. But I was like, that was just enough for me to just say, yeah, I'm about to focus on writing a song about missing, especially when, like I said, a lot of times certain communities don't get highlighted enough when it comes down to um, the missing kids or missing people. So I think that was an important one for me to write about. And like I said, most of the things that I'm writing about, it's not about just um, I'm not trying to deliver a hit. I'm not trying to make the best metaphors possible. Really, I'm just talking about what I'm observing. This came out, mostly all of these songs was from 2024. So my perspective on these songs is from 2024. The music that I got now or that I'm writing now is from perspective. Like it's like some of it still hits, but most all of these songs are written down from 2024. Um, so, but the thing is, that's why I said like I got so much songs out that I need to release. Because I got stuff that I'm working on, but I mean, do I want to fall out of order? Might, but it all depends. Like I said, I'm not trying to rush the process, but I ain't about to be sitting on this mug for too long, pretty much. So I think the message is more important than um, if something is a hit or not. Um, I think that should be it. I might end off on this last one. Then I'm gonna call it a day. It's called A Piece of Me.
God already had a plan out for me. So write my thoughts out to be free. So no one else can tell your story. To reach this peak, you gotta have discernment when you're learning. You might see the last four horsemen driving Porsches, selling the idea of friendly tiki torches. Everything that glitters is not gorgeous. Don't let knowledge replace your faith forces. Unwanted ideas with no importance. Be careful to lose yourself with AI images. They can get so distorted. God, I hope you find peace. Peace of me. A peace when your child is home. Sleep a peace when you open your refrigerator door and there's something to eat. A piece of bills to pay when times get steep. A piece to find discernment when I need to separate myself from sheep. I need all women who feel low to go to church to find peace. So God can tell you don't look at yourself like a piece of me. And for all men who were told no, you find patience when you meet defeat. Now find peace when any form of stress is released. Don't find judgment for anyone who had to live on the streets where their arms were too small for the goal they could reach. Don't overlook me as an entertainer when my father can preach and my mother can teach, birthing new ideas. Every word is preached. If they find growth off you, then that's a leech.
All right, so that's it. Make sure you just check me out. I got everything is on Spotify, Apple Music, Tidal, YouTube. The album is called Chastise with Love. If you know about Hebrews, you would understand why I named it Chastise with Love, which most people should do. It's under D Lewis with a $sign. But make sure you go and check me out. If you support me, if you don't, but if you feel like somebody needs to hear what I'm talking about, let them send it to them. Sometimes the message might not be for you, it might be for somebody else. So I appreciate it. Peace.